All right, so now we're going to talk about the states of matter. So matter is anything that has mass and takes up space. So there's three different types of matter. You have solids, you have liquids, and you have gas. There are properties of each of those that determine which it is, if it's a solid, if it's a liquid, or if it's a gas. So you look at the shape, the mass, and the volume. So we are going to use marshmallows to demonstrate this. So I have some marshmallows here. Use this tray. So a solid is an item that keeps its shape no matter what. So I have some Legos here. Doesn't matter if I put them on the table, they're pretty solid. I have some magnets, not going anywhere. I have a pencil case, while I can bend it and I can move it and open it, it's not doing anything, it's a solid. So solid keeps its shape, it keeps its mass, and it always keeps its volume. The only way it won't keep its mass or its volume is if it's actually broken. But the particles inside, or the atoms inside of the solids, are compact. They're really close together. So I'm going to use these marshmallows as the atoms, and I'm going to keep them all really close together. Really close together. So they're going to be really close together, except for that one. So that's what the solid looks like with the atoms. All very compact. It's not going to, if you break it, it's just going to separate, but it's still going to be, it's still going to be its two parts, but they're still going to be very close together. So the next one is a liquid. Throw that away for a minute. So a liquid is a little different, obviously, that it's going to take the shape of whatever it's in. So water's a great thing for a liquid. Juice that you're going to drink out of the cafeteria, the milk that goes in your cereal. So I have a jar of water. So water's taking the shape of this jar. I pour it into this jar, it's going to take the shape of that jar. If I pour it into this can, it's going to take the shape of the can. If I really wanted to be messy and pour it onto my tray, it would take the shape of the tray. I pour it on the floor, it's going to take this, or pour it on the table, it's going to take the shape of the table, fall off, and then take the shape of the floor. Liquids, their atoms, are a little bit more fluid. So unlike the solids that are all bunched really, really, really close together, the liquids are a little bit further apart. They're a little bit more fluid, so you can move in and out of them. What I like to do with my class is I put the students all really, really, really close together, safely. And then demonstrate that I can't get in, I can't go anywhere. That's a solid. A liquid, we spread them out just a little bit further, and I can kind of weave in and out of them fluidly, not really bumping into them, but there's enough space that I can move around. So that's what a liquid is. And then you have gas. So gas is a little hard because most of the time you can't see gas. Gas is all around us. Oxygen that we're breathing is gas. The carbon dioxide that we're exhaling is gas. Gas, the mass of gas stays the same, but the volume and the shape change. So while I have nothing in this jar, when I put the lid on it, there actually is something inside of it. There's air, which is a gas. And if I let go, if I open this up, all the air is just going to come out. It's going to expand, and it's going to continue to expand until something stops it from expanding. It can change states. It can go from a liquid to a solid to a gas, back to a liquid to a gas. For instance, you can take a cup of water. Put my water back in my jar. So I could take this jar of water and go put it in the freezer in something really cold, and it's going to freeze. It's going to turn it from liquid to a solid. And then I could take that and put it back on my counter, put it outside, and let it melt, and it would turn back into a liquid. I could then boil this on a pot on the stove and let it evaporate, which would then turn it into a gas. What we're going to do is the balloon poke activity, and this is one of my favorite activities that I do with my students. When I do this with my students though, and I'm starting to teach the lesson, for my students I color code everything. So when we start talking about a solid, it is always the same color. When we start talking about a liquid, it's always the same color. Anything that I use for it is the same color. So this activity, you see we have color-coded balloons. My students don't always catch on to the things that are being color-coded, but it just kind of helps if they do understand it to understand what's in the balloons. So you want to prep this lesson a day or two ahead of time. You're going to have one balloon that is going to be filled with water for liquid. You're going to have one that's going to be filled with water and you're going to freeze it. Freeze a couple because there's a chance that one of those balloons is going to break before you do the lesson. But that'll be your solid. And then you're going to have one balloon that you're going to fill with something. When I do this activity in my classroom, I like to fill it with glitter or sequins or something so that when it disperses, the students see how gas disperses into the air. I have students that have visual impairments and rely a lot on auditory. So for this activity, I actually use something different. I actually used M&Ms in this container so that when this pops, we should be able to hear it expand rather than be able to see it. So what I do is I set this activity up and I let all my students kind of look at the balloons. I don't let them touch because that's going to give the answer. They examine each of the balloons, they look at them, they try to figure out which one is the solid, which one's the liquid, and which one's the gas. They fill out their piece of paper. They can use the color coding ones and say, I think the blue balloon is the liquid. That's my, I think the red balloon is the gas. Color that one in for the gas. And then what I do is I take one balloon at a time. We're going to do this balloon first. We're going to do the yellow balloon first. And if you have anybody that's scared of balloons and popping, you give them a warning because you're going to pop all the balloons. So this is kind of the fun part. So yellow balloon, don't know what it is. You're going to pop it, and then you're going to be able to see that there's M&Ms inside. And the M&Ms just kind of disperse around. They go all over this container. They're moving all around. They're going everywhere. So that balloon was filled with the gas. So the M&Ms acted as the gas, which when we talked about the properties of gas, it goes all over the place. So then I grab another balloon. Usually I have these in 3 different containers so that all I have to do is just move the container. The next balloon, we usually ask, what did you think the second balloon is? Ask all the kids. It's a solid, it's a liquid, it's a gas. Okay, let's see what the second balloon is. And then you go and you poke the second balloon. This one melted a little bit. But, there we go. You will see that it is a solid block of ice inside. So this is the solid. It had a little bit of liquid with it. But this is the solid balloon. So what you would do is then take some observations from the first balloon to the second balloon. Well, this balloon dispersed all over the place. Everything went everywhere. That's got to be a gas. Well, this one, it kept its shape. It's hard. It's not going anywhere. It still looks like a balloon. That is a solid. So by then, they should be able to tell that the next balloon is probably going to be the water. And so you pop the last balloon. And it is the water. And the kids like that because sometimes they get splashed. So that's a really good just observation, fun activity that you can do with your students because A, they're going to get wet, B, there could be confetti or glitter going all around your classroom. So if you don't like glitter, don't use glitter. But it's just a fun activity for students to kind of make a guess on what it is, use all the information that they've already learned. Is it compact? Is it spread out? What are the atoms doing? And then have a fun balloon poke activity. So enjoy.